All right, everybody, here we are. Another week. Another week has gone by, and we are here and we are ready for NFL Week 1 action here on the Muff Punt Podcast. I am definitely super excited. We're going to be getting into our picks. We're going to be getting into predictions and spreads and all the fun things that I've missed for so many weeks. How we doing, gentlemen? You guys having a great week?
I'm a little disappointed when we go live because as the people at home don't know, I really like to mess with you right as you're starting and like to scream and just say random things to mess you up. And I can't do that when we go live. So I miss the recorded format personally.
Well, I feel like this will allow for us to have more overall participation throughout the year, and hopefully allow for us to build a bit more of an audience as we go along. So, hey, we'll find. I'm sure you'll find other ways to fuck with me.
I don't know. This was my favorite way. All right. Like...
What's up, Terry? How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Happy football eve, boys. It's time.
Yes.
On us.
I'm super excited. Have you guys said goodbye to your loved ones and let them know you'll see them in a few months back in February?
No, because I'm hoping that something else pops up in February, like I don't know, that the XFL makes a surprise comeback, or the AF comes back, or something.
That's true. Yeah, we might have another league starting up. And I mean, if you go back to the early days of the Muff Punt podcast, you will see a little bit of XFL coverage that I know Paul and I did. And man, some of those games were a lot of fun. So I certainly wouldn't mind seeing that come back. And some of those rule changes, man, I think were kickoffs were probably my absolute favorite part of the XFL.
Absolutely. I miss that. I'm hoping that when the USFL comes back that it's going to have something that'll be kind of fun, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, all right, man, we got a little bit of subjects that we'll get to towards the end of the show as well that are not specifically Week 1 related, but we're going to go through and break down the Week 1 predictions for the week. I'm going to let Terry kind of take over the order and take things through because he's going to be our bet keeper, if you will. He's going to make sure that he keeps track of all of our predictions, and we're going to see at the end of the season which one of the members of the Muff Punt podcast is the best quote-unquote NFL expert for the 2021 season. So we'll see how that goes. So Terry, whenever you're ready, bud, take her away.
Yeah, man.
Terry sucks. So I'm sorry,
See, I told you he'd find another way. Sorry, Terry.
He did.
That wasn't messing with you, though. I got Terry.
So it all starts tomorrow night, boys. We got the opener is Dallas Cowboys at the Buccaneers. It's a pretty big line for the opener. Right now, it's going off at the Bucks are 8.5 point favorites.
So wait, my question is, did it change after Micah Parsons called out Tom Brady? Was there any point in time the Cowboys were favored to possibly win this game? Because I'll tell you what, I think that might have been the dumbest thing that that rookie could have ever done. Is hey, before we have Week 1 versus Brady, let's call him out and say we're going to kick his ass.
Yeah, it's probably not smart. It's been a pretty big line since it came out. I think it started out, I want to say at like 6.5. It went up to 7.5, and then with the news that Nick Martin's not going to play, it went up to 8.5. So Zach Martin, sorry. But yeah, the line's 8.5. So I'll put my first pick out there. Where for ours we're going to do straight up, but we're also going to touch on some of the spread bets too. So obviously I like the Bucks to win, and I like the Bucks to cover in this one.
So my big question, I mean, for you guys before I'm going to say pretty easily, I'm going to give the Bucks my pick here. I think I was pretty convinced it was going to be the Bucks, and then after watching Hard Knocks, I'm even more convinced it was going to be the Bucks. Um, but I wonder, do you guys really feel like it's going to be a pretty smooth going season for the Bucks? I feel like everybody's going to feel like this is going to be like rock and roll, ready to go from with the Bucks right from jump. Now that they've had the full off season, what do you guys think?
I think that the Bucks are going to be in really good position. They got the first team in free agency era to get everybody back, like all the major role players, all the starters, everyone is back. Tom Brady had an off season to work with everybody. He like I feel like Antonio Brown is like his long lost little brother and just looks up to him. He's got a sparkle in the eye, just wants to get all close and get a hug from Uncle Tom over there and just just go. But so I think the Bucks are going to have a great year. I don't put a lot of faith in ESPN since they've had their what I think is the biggest talent exodus in the history of sports television. But there's a couple of people at ESPN picking the Bucks to go undefeated this year. Now I don't think that's going to happen, but but I do think that they're going to beat the Cowboys because I think that the same defense that gave Patty Mahomes and the rest of the most talented offense in the NFL last year, all those fits. I think that they're going to hit Dak early. I think they're going to hit him often. And we're going to find out real quick if his shoulder or his ankle are not ready to go. And I think there's a chance that we see a backup quarterback in this one for the Cowboys.
I mean, if nothing else, there's going to be a pretty decent pass rush that's going to be in Dak's face in the first game. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what happens on the other side of that for sure. So it'll be for a Thursday night matchup. I think that's okay. They could have made it a little bit more of a blockbuster there. Isn't it supposed to be like the Super Bowl rematch, supposed to be the first game of the year usually?
No, not a Super Bowl rematch, but usually the Super Bowl champs play the first game.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think that there is an outside chance that Micah Parsons accidentally lines up to play with the Bucks defense and hits Dak because if he's dumb enough to give Tom Brady bulletin board material, nothing is a stretch then at this point.
Yeah, that's it's not a good thing to do on that one. But
Yeah, no, I
what
don't
do you
mean to give
guys
him any extra motivation.
just real quick, what do you guys think on this 8.5 spread? Do you think they cover it?
I think they cover. I 8.5 is a lot, but I just think that I think the Bucks are. I think they're gonna just go all out. I think that defense is gonna contain the Cowboys. I think that Zeke, while he might have a bounce back year, I think that he's gonna stumble out the gates against that defense. I think Dak being hurt, and we don't know how hurt he's been because you can't trust Jerry Jones. He doesn't remember what he had for breakfast. There's no way he remembers what Dak looked
McDonald's.
like on the practice.
Yeah,
It's Whataburger. The answer is Whataburger.
He had a lot of salt on that thing too, man. That was way too much salt.
Dude, I don't think I've ever ordered a breakfast sandwich from, I've never eaten at Whataburger, but I have eaten at McDonald's long, long, long time ago. But I can't imagine bringing it home and then getting the salt shaker and then pouring a bunch of salt on top of that sandwich before I eat it.
My God.
But anyway, so no,
Uh,
I think the Bucks cover in this one. I think that they win by 10.
I could see that. I could see him. I could see this game getting pretty ugly, honestly. But all right. So to start off the week, the Sunday slate, the first game I have here is, and I'm using, by the way, I'm using all my spreads on DraftKings just to let you guys know. So the first game I have up is the 49ers at Detroit. Detroit is, yeah. So 49ers are a 7.5 point road favorite. Um, I think this is another game that's going to get out of hand pretty bad. Uh, I'm taking the 49ers, obviously, and I think they cover the 7.5 very easily. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I think the 49ers are going to cover. To me, the question, like really the only question is how much are we going to see their rookie quarterback come out? Because Shanahan was saying that they're going to run a two quarterback system, which, I mean, let's face it, most teams in college don't do anything that stupid. The saying's always been if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. So I think that that might be stupid, but I think they'll get away with it playing against the Lions led by the amazing Jared Goff. Uh, I think that there's I don't know. I could see both starting quarterbacks go down with injuries in this game because the 49ers, like I think that Bosa is going to come out and I think he's going to be upset. And when he gets upset, that entire defense gets pissed off. And when that defense is pissed off, they hit people really hard. So I think that he might come off. I think that we're going to see really the Jared Goff that we saw his last year that he played in college at Cal because he was super inconsistent, but he had some arm talent and he still got some arm talent. But I think the only reason he ever had any consistency was because of the coaching staff and the offensive weapons that he had around him. And he does not have that in Detroit, nor will he ever.
Do you know how much though I like in my heart I want to pick the Detroit Lions because of how much I like Dan Campbell. Like my heart would have so much joy if the Lions came out and just shellacked. I don't care if they lost every other game after that. If they came out and just really took it to the 49ers in that first game, man, that would make me so happy. But yeah, I don't see it happening. So I'm going to pick the 49ers in this one. But I think that's really what it boils down to is weapons. Because, like, can you guys name any of the wide receivers that are on the Detroit Lions right now? Like,
Calvin Johnson.
it's definitely going to be interesting to see. They had a rehaul in the wrong way at wide receiver at that team, so it's going to be interesting to see which way the cookie crumbles there. But I would just personally would absolutely love to see Dan Campbell do well in the NFL because he's such a character and gives everybody so much to talk about every single week. But I doubt it will happen.
I think they might just be happy to be rid of Matt Patricia.
I think there was a collective like sigh of relief when he walked out the door. Like I think even he had a bit of a sigh of relief when he walked out the door. Like, man, I have to like remember who is Matt Patricia. I've been Bill Belichick for all these years now, and I can't remember who I'm supposed to be as a person.
Do you think he cried and called Bill and was like, "Can I have a job? You hired Josh back."
I think I wouldn't be surprised the literal minute his ass hit the seat in the car on his way out the door if his phone didn't ring and it was Bill. Like, hey Matt, how you doing? You coming back? I told you, bitch. Like, I just that would not surprise me at all. But yeah, I think everyone was so happy to see him go. Going from a super players coach to Matt Patricia, I think just completely put a huge shock in that whole franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really name barely anyone on the Lions defense either. So I don't know how they're going to stop the 49ers offense. Even when like Trey Lance gets in and makes some mistakes, he still has so many more weapons to go to in that. And I don't know. I think the
Right?
Lions are
Like
going to be like historically bad again.
I think I trust Georgia's defense more than I trusted the Detroit Lions defense.
Insert Georgia's defense into this game, and it might actually be the line might actually be like 3.
Nope, targeting. Oh wait, no, sorry.
Yeah, that was a little bit out of hand this weekend too.
Yeah, we can get to that later. I think Paul might have something to say about that.
I might just freak out and punch somebody.
All right, so let's see. Next one I got on the list, I have Steelers at the Bills. Bills are a 6.5-point favorite. I think this is going to be a pretty good game.
I think you're wrong.
I think it's going to be closer than the line is saying.
I don't think it's going to be closer than the line.
But I still think the Bills are going to win. I think the Steelers defense is going to be pretty good.
The Steelers defense is not going to be good this week.
All right.
Because of the holdout? Is that why you're saying?
Yes, 100%. TJ Watt he makes that defense. You got Ben Roethlisberger coming out. And while I don't trust Ben with a lot of things, namely allegedly college girls, I do trust him when he says, pay that man whatever he wants. And from what I heard, the dispute is the Steelers don't want to give TJ any guaranteed money after year one.
That's how they've always been.
But so what? It's TJ effing Watt. Did you see JJ when he was in his prime? That you pay that man or you let that man go away. Like this game will not be close because TJ Watt will not be playing. I think that I mean, you got my boy over there at quarterback. He's going to have a lightning game. Stephon Diggs, I think, is going to catch a couple of touchdowns. I think that I think the Bills win big here. I think that in any other week, because I don't see this holdout going more than a week, because the Steelers are going to realize, hey, we should probably not let this happen again. And so I think that this is going to be the real only blowout that the Steelers have for at least a while. But I think the Steelers are just going to get destroyed. I think that you've got an MVP candidate on the Bills. You've got a solid defense. You've got good coaching. I just think that because if you don't have your best player, you're not gonna compete quite as much. You're not gonna have the leadership, the skill, the tenacity, nothing. So I see the Bills walking away with this one.
Is it a lock that he's not going to play?
From what I've seen, he's still holding out, and he's saying he's not practicing. So if he's not practicing, then I'm guessing he's not going to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see how that goes, but I would take the Bills in that particular instance as well. I'll be interested to see if Josh Allen can live up to the contract now that he got paid. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if he can duplicate that and do it another year. Paul and I talked a lot about, if I was the Bills, it would have been nice to have another year to see if he could duplicate what he did last year. So I'll be interested to see now that we have a little bit more of an idea, another year under his belt with the NFL, see what happens this year. But I'm still going to take the Bills in this game.
Yeah, 100% I'm with you on that, Brandon. It would have been nice to have another year. I think that any other situation, this is a close game because I think that even though they have a decrepit quarterback who has to be wheelchaired out to the field before every snap, I think that just the fact that TJ Watt's not there is really going to hit him in more ways than they think.
I think we'd also be remiss to not mention Najee Harris. How many carries do you guys think that he's going to get for Pittsburgh?
45. I think that at some point he'll probably have to line up at quarterback because we don't trust Mason Rudolph. Dwayne Haskins isn't going to make the game day roster, and there's a chance that Roethlisberger throws his shoulder out again just with like a random 5-yard toss into the flat to Najee Harris.
I was just curious because I feel like that was one of the big stories coming out of camp was his big addition to the Steelers, and I feel like they finally maybe found their replacement for Le'Veon, and it's going to be interesting to see how he makes his way through that offense, how big a part of it he'll be early, because he had a pretty decent part of it in the preseason, but that's the preseason.
I just think he's too high character of a guy to really let the people around him stumble. I think that Ben, obviously you guys know how I feel about Ben, but he's he's got control of the offense and people listen to him and respect him inside that huddle. But I think that while this is going to be the Steelers just preparing for a new quarterback, I think that this is going to become Najee's team this year.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a big season. I mean, I'm thinking like 25 to 30 touches in this one,
Yeah,
and
I'd say that's
I would
safe.
put him on the short list for offensive rookie of the year, no doubt, because they're gonna. I mean, the Steelers they like hard nosed, run the football type of offense, and they know the limitations of Ben. So I'm completely with you. I think he's gonna get a ton of play this year. So um,
I
yeah,
think if
so
this game's close, it's because Najee Harris goes off.
well,
Okay.
and the outside chance that maybe Watt plays if he does, that'll help. But
So you don't think that Claypool will factor in at all, like coming into his second season, I think, and having a little bit more familiarity with the offense and stuff. I mean, he was pretty impressive, at least versus the Eagles last year, several times over. But do you think Claypool will factor into the Steelers' offense anymore at this point?
Personally, I'm at the point with Roethlisberger that I was with Manning in like his last season and a half, where he's just at some point not going to have any arm talent left, and I think we're coming to the end of the road there. Especially when I mean, the, remember a couple years ago when he got injured, it wasn't a hit, it wasn't a big throw, it was a normal throw, and then his arm just died.
Hmm.
So I don't know that Ben can make the throws he's going to need for Juju and Claypool to get the ball. So that's why I think that Najee is going to play such an important role here.
Cool.
all right, next up we have the Chargers traveling cross country to play the football team. We
Hey,
have this.
the Red Wolves made it to the finals. They narrowed it down. I didn't get what the others were, but I got that the Red Wolves made it to one of the finalists of the names. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It just that made me happy.
It's I still don't like it.
That's the only one that I like out of the ones that they mentioned. I think the other ones still kind of like the red. Was it the one about the airplanes? That one sounded cool. Um, I don't remember what it was off the top of my head now, but the Red Wolves I've been a fan of. Even though it sounds like arena football, I think that one sounds cool.
I think that's the best choice, but I don't think we had any good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those other 8 ones I think we talked about before they were pretty trash, but their team is pretty good. This line actually changed since yesterday. The Chargers were actually a 1 point road favorite as of yesterday. As of today, it flipped in Washington's favor. So now Washington's a 1 point favorite at home. Um, this one's an interesting one. I feel like I feel like Washington's defense is going to be a lot for the Chargers. I think that pass rush is going to be all on Herbert. Plus the news that Eckler had that hamstring injury, so
Ha
that's
ha,
going to give
Nate.
them
Ha ha, Nate.
one less offensive weapon. Um, so for me, I'm going with Washington in this one. Um, and I think that even if you get it at the 1 point, I mean that's a pretty favorable line right there because I think that their defense could really hold the Chargers down, and we get to see what Fitz Magic can do with their offense. Washington's offense is pretty solid. I mean they have some talent they have talent all over the place, so they're going to be pretty good on offense, but we'll see. What do you think, Paul?
I think that they are the class of the NFC East. That's not saying a ton, but I think that they are the early favorites to win. Um, so I'm picking Washington in this game, not just because Washington is good, but you've got a few things working against the Chargers. First, West Coast teams that travel to the East Coast and play noon games, that does not turn out well for them. They are historically bad, and you've just got players getting up significantly earlier than what they're used to. So that plays against them. I think that Justin Herbert losing a couple of weapons goes against them. Austin Eckler being injury prone, haha, Nate, that goes against them, especially since hamstring injuries, though that's going to linger all year. So it's not just going to impact him this game; it's going to impact him for the next 18 weeks. So I think that I think that Justin regresses a little bit to go along with how most good rookie quarterbacks do. Washington, I think, is going to look good. This is going to start the Fitzmagic Pro Bowl tour. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen this year. So be prepared for it. So yeah, I've got Washington. ESPN has the game as a pick 'em. 1 point. That's essentially a pick 'em as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely take Washington in this game. Brando.
I think this game has the potential to be the Georgia Clemson game from this last weekend, but I don't know how much the Chargers defense can maintain that. So if I think things will go off, I think it'll be in Washington's favor. I think with them having Terry McLaurin, however you say it, I think he has a little bit more of the explosive potentiality when it comes to that receiving core. And Antonio Gibson, I think, would also factor in a bit more than Eckler as well. And their offensive line is supposed to be a little bit better this year. So I think you'll see Rivera kind of get into his own a little bit more. And you'll see that the Washington, I think, is going to be hard to beat this year, especially for those NFC East folks.
All right, so we're 4 games in, and we're all in agreement on all 4 games so far.
I
think it's,
almost went Detroit, but I smartened up. I smartened up real quick.
You sure you don't want to change it?
No,
I almost
I'm
went
good.
the Cowboys just to piss you guys off.
All right, so next on tap, I have Seattle. Seattle going to Indianapolis. As of right now, the Seahawks are a 2.5-point road favorite.
Who's starting a quarterback? Do we know if Carson is back this week?
As far as I know, Wentz is starting at quarterback this week.
Okay.
So this is an interesting another interesting matchup. Colts have a pretty strong defense. Seattle's defense was terrible last year. They started getting better toward the end of the year. I still think they have some deficiencies. On offense, I think I'm not sure about the Colts. Obviously, we don't know what we're going to see out of Wentz. I think Jonathan Taylor's a pretty good player. He should be able to run the ball a little bit. But for me, it's Russ and the weapons that he has on offense. I just like them. I like him to win a close game in this situation. So I'm going Seattle. I also like them to cover. And lastly, the over-under on this game is 50. I think this is a deadlock for under.
Interesting. Well, we finally have our first split. I'm going to take the Colts in this one if we're going straight up. You've got another West Coast team traveling to the Eastern time zone at a noon game, so that's going to work against them. I think that the Carson Wentz redemption tour starts this week. The Seahawks did just get their starting left tackle back because they redid his contract, so he's getting a little bit more guaranteed money. They converted some of it to a signing bonus instead of a roster bonus, which is what he had for each week. I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to be able to do quite a bit here, and the Colts are going to control the clock. So yeah, I'm going to shock the world a little bit on this one and take the Colts. I think Seattle looks good, but I just got a feeling.
I'm going to go.
The Carson Wentz COVID tour starts this week.
Oh, we'll have to see.
Why do you say such hurtful things to me?
I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. If it's the early season Seahawks, I'm happy. If it's late season Seahawks, they're crappy. So I say if you're going to do it, if you're going to pick the Seahawks, pick them early. So I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. I think they'll have enough to squeak by. I do think everything Paul said is very valid. I could very much see this being a good game by the Colts because the Seahawks don't have the best run defense in the entire world. So if the Colts can kind of get their three-headed monster going, but with their running backs, then I think it could be a long day for Seattle. But I think DK and Russ are going to show out just like they always do early in the season, and it'll be a little bit before things cool off. So I'm taking Seahawks.
If the game was at any time aside from noon, I'd agree with you guys. I'm I'm purely making this choice because teams from the West Coast don't play well in the Eastern time zone at noon.
You almost talked me into it.
No, that's fair, and statistically, you're very right. The numbers don't lie in that one, but I I don't know. I like Russ's chances in this one, but we'll see how it shakes out. Next, we have now this is a I think this is going to be another really solid game this week. We have Arizona going to Tennessee. Um, we have this line's been kind of staying pretty stable, but right now you have the Titans as a 3-point favorite at home. I think that's probably about right. Um,
I
I'm a
disagree because
little
I mean 3 points at home is what you get.
that's
So
that's
they're
that
saying that
that's
the Cardinals and Titans are the same, not the same team, but even teams. I don't think they're even teams.
I don't know. In this one, this was a kind of a tough choice for me. I mean, I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee offensively. Their defense worries me a bit. Um, obviously Arizona is loaded with offensive talent. I think they've done a little. They've done a pretty okay job with getting their defense up, but I'm worried about their secondary as well. Um, so I mean, for this one, I'm gonna go with my boy Derrick Henry and the Titans in a super close game. Um, I'm not betting this game at all though. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Tennessee in this one.
I'm with you on Tennessee. I like that pick, but I think I like Tennessee more than 3 point favorites. I think that you've got Derrick Henry, you've got Ryan Tannehill with two legitimate wide receivers, which is something he's never had before, and he's like the 10th to 12th best quarterback in the league. I think he's capable. The
He's better than
Cardinals.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
Matt
definitely.
Ryan, but let's I'm gonna avoid that one. I agree, but
See last week's podcast.
um, I just think the Cardinals. I don't know what's going to happen with Chandler Jones this year. He was holding out and he wanted a trade. Then apparently things started turning around and the organization and him are doing better. And you've got JJ on that line now. Their offense, I can't name their second or third wide receiver, so I know they've got one amazing one, and Kyler Murray is good, but I think that I think he's this year we're going to find out just how good he can be because he's going to have to carry that team a little bit. And I don't think he can do that against Mike Vrabel's defense or Derrick Henry. I think that Derrick Henry, I don't think he's going to have the same year he had last year because historically no running back has ever been able to do that in back-to-back years. But that doesn't mean I don't think that Derrick Henry is going to get under like 1,200 yards rushing. I think he's going to have at least 1,200 yards rushing, a few touchdowns. But I think that with more talent, that the ball is going to get spread around a little bit more, and it doesn't make them as one-dimensional as they were last year. Because you can have one good receiver, but if you've got one good receiver and you've got a shutdown corner on the other team, then there's not a lot that you can do. But if Julio can somehow stay healthy, then I think that he's going to be the key to really having this team go to the next level.
I'll take the Titans in this one purely for the fact that I don't feel like Kyler is a super accurate quarterback. And I think that's kind of been, he makes some boneheaded decisions from time to time, and I don't think he's super accurate. So until I see him prove me otherwise in that, I'm going to continue to pick against him in big games. And I think for them, this is a pretty big game. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I mean, there's quite a few good ones on this week one. Um, you know, this
I
week
very
one
much
slate.
agree with
So
that, and that's part of the reason why I went that way with my pick is because I've seen Kyler melt down in big games in the NFL, and he kind of like sometimes will just kind of burn out towards the end of games trying to do too much. So I think that unless he finds a way to get his mental game a little more under control in that aspect, then I think that that's going to be a problem.
I think the coaching is really his downfall. I don't think
You
that
think
Cliff
that's where the problem lies?
100%. I think if you give him a better either quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, or head coach, that he's a different player. I just don't think that Cliff Kingsbury, are you kidding me? The guy who wanted him out of high school didn't get it, so then got him in the NFL. I do not think that was a good coaching hire. So I think until that system gets revamped a little bit, that Kyler is going to have flashes of brilliance, and then he's going to look like he's still a college quarterback sometimes. So that's just my take on it.
I don't even think Kingsbury had a winning record at
He didn't.
Texas Tech.
Nope.
No,
So
he
it
didn't.
was it was a head scratcher of a move. They liked his open offense with the prospects of having Murray, and so far they've showed some some flashes of really good play, but it, like you said, it hasn't been consistent. And I agree with you, Paul, for many reasons because I have him in fantasy. But I love the prospects of Julio opening up the box a little bit more for Henry now, because they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to put that extra guy in the box all the time. So we'll see. I like this matchup. That I think it's a good one. Going to be a good one.
Agreed.
Next one, not such a good matchup. Minnesota at Cincinnati. Right now, you have Minnesota as a 3-point road favorite. Um, uh,
I've got a
this
quick
is
question for you while you're thinking about what to say.
sure.
Do the Vikings play a defensive line at all?
I saw an article right before we came on that said the head coach of the Vikings had like a discovered something that he didn't realize right before the season, and I was like, "Oh shit! Is it that he's the coach of the Vikings?"
No, because what I was gonna say is, Terry, I think that you could line you and me up on the defensive line, and we're gonna get a couple wins and a couple sacks on,
All right.
on that quarterback. So anybody that has a defensive line, I think, has a good better than not chance of beating the Bengals this year.
I agree, and I'm going with the Vikings in this one. Um, I think they cover it. They cover the number the three. Um, yeah, the I don't. The Bengals have a lot of work to do, so it's probably gonna be another rough season for Joe Burrow.
I think
I
that's one that if they don't get a different coach in there, is they're gonna that's not gonna ever change as far as that goes, and the ownership doesn't ever seem to want to make a big change there either.
I don't think it's necessarily the coach. I think the GM's got to go. You can't sit there and then just draft offensive weapon after offensive weapon at the skill position, not have left tackle be a skill position that you care about, and then just go from there. Jamar Chase, it looks like it, man. I hope for Ralph's sake that he has a decent season, but Jamar Chase, if he's going to be good, I think he's going to be good next year because he took a year away from football and it looks to have been a bad choice. And there's a chance that this turns into just another bust situation. So I hope he has a decent season for Ralph, but Jamar Chase is not looking good. You've got T Higgins on there, and you've got Joe Burrow, and you have a whole bunch of other nameless people on there. And
T Higgins
Kirk,
isn't nothing. T Higgins is he's
I
good
didn't
once
say
in
he
a
was nothing.
while.
I said no. I said that he's one of the two names on the team. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that T Higgins is going to have a good year. I think that Joe Burrow, if he can, I don't know, maybe be a track star that should have been at Japan 2020, actually in 21, because they didn't change the name. But Joe Burrow, he's going to have to run for his life all season if he wants to do anything. And that's unfortunate because it looked like Joe Burrow was, I mean, the flashes of brilliance that he had as a rookie before he got hurt were far better than anything I thought he was going to have as a rookie. So I am all about watching greatness. And that was something I didn't used to have. For me, it took Kobe's death to really say that Like I don't have to hate players that play on other teams to appreciate just how good they are. And I think that Joe Burrow is someone that I want to see succeed because I like watching greatness. So I hope for Joe Burrow's sake that he gets an offensive line relatively soon, but there's no way the Bengals win this game.
Unless they're on the Yankees or the Cowboys, would be my caveat to what you just said. And then hate away, folks.
I don't know because after everything that Dak did, like I love Dak Prescott as a person because he went through something so tough and he did it relatively publicly and tried to bring awareness to it. So like I even for as much as I hate the Cowboys and I don't know that I hate anybody more than the Cowboys, including the Yankees. So that was very difficult for me. But normally I completely agree with you on that statement.
I understand.
All right. So next one, let's see. We got the Jets at the Panthers. This one, Panthers are 4.5-point favorite at home.
How is this an afternoon game? Are we into the afternoon block at this point?
We're still at the noon.
We're still in the 1 o'clock slate.
Is that
right
still
now.
the 1 o'clock? Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say if the Jets made the 4 o'clock hour, I'm gonna be pissed.
Still got a couple of games to go before he.
All right.
There's another doozy of a game coming up in a minute here, but personally, for me, I like the Panthers to win here. I like them to cover the 4.5. I think they're going to cover way more than 4.5. I think this line is way too low. The Panthers, their defense still isn't great, but they did add premier corner to their secondary in JC Horn, who looked pretty good in preseason. And they definitely have some weapons on offense. Plus there is the Sam Darnold revenge factor. It's all baked into this whole thing. So, and Christian McCaffrey's comeback tour starts this week against probably what's going to be the worst defense in the league. So I think that the Panthers win, they cover. I think this one's a lock, but what do you think, Paul?
I really kind of want to take the Jets because I want little Zac Efron to do just incredible things in week one and then never do anything good again. But I think the Panthers are too talented. I think that Christian McCaffrey and like any other three players, if those were the only players allowed on the field, I think there's a chance that they could win against the Jets. So I think that the Panthers win here. I think it might be a little closer than what you're thinking, just because I feel like the Jets played relatively well in the preseason and they won't have time to be injured or have time to doubt themselves in this one. So I could see this where the Jets are the irrational confident guy walking into the game, and that ends one of two ways. Either they lose by 50 because they get punched in the mouth and they're like, oh my God, what happened? Where am I? Or they actually put up a little bit of a fight. And I think that they're going to put up a fight. But so to me, it's either going to be like a one possession game or they're going to win by at least 25 points.
So you're taking the Jets?
No, I said I wanted to take the Jets.
He wants to, but he knows better.
All right, so I'm going to take the Panthers in this one as well. I would love to see Sam Darnold just crap all over his old team. From all reports, man, the Panthers are super happy with him. They've really thought that he did well in the preseason. They feel like they got something with him, so it'll be interesting to see if getting him outside of his former crappy digs is really going to allow for him to do well. So I'm pulling for him. I know Colin Cowherd is really pulling for Sam Darnold to do well since he's been hyping him up for so long.
I think it's interesting to hear that they're happy with him, seeing as they're one of the two teams that are still in decently heavy discussions about Deshaun. So I think that that's interesting to hear. USC quarterbacks in the NFL are terrible. So I don't have high hopes.
I think it's like that. I can be happy to have a game manager and be like, yeah, man, he's good. He's good. But it's not like, oh shit, Deshaun? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, throw Deshaun on that team and Wow, what would they would they would be scoring a ton of points. All right, so we're all in agreement on Carolina. All right, the next one. Now this is going to be the one that decides probably our week here. Jacksonville at Houston. This is going to be a terrible game. Right now, Jacksonville is a 3-point road favorite uh, at the
What?
Texans. Yes, Jags are currently a 3-point road favorite
That is
right now.
insane.
Uh, I mean, both of these teams are going to be so bad. Uh, the only thing I might I would ever bet on this is the over 45 and a half because I think no one's gonna be able to stop anyone. They're both defenses are gonna be so terrible. But I guess if I have to pick a team, I'll go with the Jags on this one.
Taking the Jags. Taking the Jags.
I don't like it. I wouldn't want to have to pick either. Can we just get rid of this game? I'm pretty
And
sure the NFL wants to get rid of this game.
this is one of those games where America loses. Like we know that. That's who the loser of this game is. Um Man, the Jags and the Texans.
I'll go for craps and giggles. I'll go opposite Terry in this one. With how terrible the Jags have looked in the preseason, I'm gonna hope that Tyrod and Philip Lindsay can put up a couple more points than what Jacksonville can decide to put together. I think Jacksonville's defense may be a hair worse, maybe a hair worse. And with Urban being a brand new coach in the NFL, that is, we'll have to see how that all shakes out. I know Paul's not super high on him either, so I don't know, man. I think I have to lean towards the Texans. I think in the first game.
Yeah, I'm with Brandon. I'm going to take the Texans in this one because I think that Trevor Lawrence, the only time he looked good was when he was playing second and third stringers. I think that there's a chance that he is not what we thought we were going to be at least early. And Urban Meyer, from all reports, his team hates him. So I don't think that they're going to show out for him. So I got to take the Texans in this one too because I think that I mean Tyrod Taylor is not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm thinking that he's competent enough to beat a team that is atrocious, and I think the Jags are truly atrocious. So I'm gonna take the Texans.
Right. So the last game of the 1 o'clock slate is the one that's near and dear to my heart. We have the Eagles traveling to Atlanta. Right now, Atlanta is a 3-point favorite at home. Um, I'm going to sound like a homer, but I think the Eagles win this game outright. I think I think the Eagles defense is being significantly underrated right now. I think their front four is going to be a problem for a lot of offensive lines. Um, they're five deep, six deep on just on the D line. I think their linebackers have showed me a lot in the preseason so far. They're a lot better. I think Alex Singleton's going to be a stud for us, and I think that they've upgraded the back end. I think now that Slay has another guy on the other side and Steven Nelson, who's a solid number two corner, and then Harris back there at safety. I think their defense is going to be significantly improved, and I think they're gonna be all over Matt Ryan in this one. They're going to probably have multiple sacks on them. I don't think the Falcons' offensive line is very good. And on the other side of the ball, I mean, I think the Falcons defense was pretty terrible last year, and I don't think they really got much better. Uh, and I just think the Eagles have, you know, they have a lot of potential. I mean, Miles Sanders has shown that he can be a really good running back. He can really run the ball. He's had some issues catching out of the backfield, um, and I'm excited to see, you know, uh, what what our young receiving core can do. They've shown that there's some talent there, and they've upgraded the speed factor on the outside. Um, and then you still have the steady hands of Goddard and Ertz, on those underneath routes. So I think that And their offensive line is fully healthy. Also, by the way, last year their offensive line was in injuries everywhere. So not only that, but they have depth behind them. I think that I think the Eagles definitely win this game outright, and get the season off. The Sirianni era started off with a victory. What do you think, Paul?
I'm a little torn on this one, and you're going to be surprised to hear why. I think that
Matt Ryan.
there's,
Because you love Matt Ryan.
yeah, I love Matt Ryan. You guys know me so well. I think that there's a chance that Matt Ryan is pissed off because no one outside of a couple of people who watch the show thinks that Matt Ryan's any good. No, if you look at the numbers through the time that he's played, his numbers have him as a top 10 quarterback over that time. But that's just numbers. You can look at numbers and find almost anything that you want if you pick the right ones. If you look at Matt Ryan's yards and touchdowns, especially touchdowns, then he ranks up there pretty well. Now, I think the Eagles are going to win, but I can't be sure of that because Jalen Hurts has won one game in the pros. They've got a, a tight end that we all thought was out of there like all season, who, and I think that Zach Ertz might be the reason that I picked the Eagles in this because of what Zach Ertz said in that press conference right at the end of the preseason, where he's like, well, I'm just putting everything behind me and I'm just going to show out this year. If you have a guy with the talent level of Zach Ertz, let's not forget 2 years ago, maybe three, him and Travis Kelce were far and away the two best tight ends in the NFL. So if Zach Ertz comes back and is pissed off the way that he's appeared to be a little bit, then I think that Jalen Hurts is going to have an easy season. He's going to have one of his best friends from Alabama there catching the ball until he gets injured when like a place kicker hits him wrong. Um,
Oh man, such hate.
It's not hate.
You love Devontae. Stop it.
I know. That's why it's fun. um,
Do you
but
guys
I
see
mean,
the Heisman commercial with Devontae showing up to the Heisman house with everybody
yes,
that they
Yeah.
played like
I,
80
I
million times?
I loved that. I loved that commercial when him and Baker are there feeding the mascots once at 8 and again at 6.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
were
they're
funny.
pretty good.
I loved that, but I think that I just don't know that Atlanta's defense is going to be able to stop a healthy Zach Ertz and Dallas Goddard, because if you've got the Eagles playing similar to an offensive style as what the Patriots did when they had the convicted murderer, I don't have to say alleged, that's nice, and and Gronk, then I mean that's a potent system because there aren't a lot of people who can one-on-one cover Ertz. And then if you've got another mismatch out there in Goddard, that's helpful. And then that draws single coverage for your wide receivers who are young and look good. So I think the Eagles win this game, but I think that there's a chance that Matt Ryan gets pissed off and has a monster year.
I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one. I expect them to
Homer.
win. Yeah, right. I expect them to pick the game or win the game. I think it'll all just kind of boil down to like how much has Atlanta's defense really come along since last year, and how much has Kyle Pitts really fit into this offense. So it'll be interesting to see with Julio gone and now having Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts there, how much that can really factor in now that the Eagles actually have a much more serious defense. And for all intents and purposes, they look like they're really ready to play. So I'm hoping that translates into the season, but being an Eagles fan, we know how that can go sometimes.
The one thing that I just hope is that Sirianni sticks to what he's been saying about that he's gonna rely a little more on the run than the pass. Because I mean, when you start running the ball, it's going to start opening things up. And we all know how Doug used to get away from running the ball after they would have success with it. I feel like you have to stay with the run a little bit, to give Hurts a chance to get a little comfortable out there And I think this is an easy game for him to get some confidence under his belt against a really, a pretty bad defense. So I just hope he does stick with what he's been saying. So,
I
and
don't see
I think if
how
he does,
if
we
you
win.
I don't see how if you have Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott that you're not going to do a lot with your running backs.
Yeah, and they have so much, and just the short little passes out of the backfield too. They can get back to the screen game, which the Eagles used to be like bread and butter for them. And for like the last couple of years, it was like they forgot what the hell that play was under Doug. But I hope we see a few of those, because those always were good plays. And with our line being healthy, I think that's going to open up some big chunk plays down, for them in that part of the game. So
Yep. Myalata's the starter too, so that's cool.
loving his upside too. I think he's just going to get better and better. But all right, so we got to move on. So the all right, so the first game I have on the 4 o'clock slate I have is Green Bay at New Orleans
In Jacksonville.
in Jacksonville. Now I had to update my sheet here, because the Packers were at 4 -4. They're 4-point favorite. The line just came down. I don't know. It's down to 3.5. But for me, it's an interesting game. I think that, it's going to be interesting to see, Jameis as the starter, and what he's capable of doing, if Sean Payton has really been able to put him, get him out of his his bad passing ways of his Buccaneers days.
He got
I think
LASIK, man. He got LASIK.
he's had some time to sit there and learn. So it's going to be interesting. But for this one, I mean, I'm going the Packers. I like the Packers to cover the 4. I like them to cover the 3.5. Um, I just don't I just don't know, like, outside of like Marquez Callaway looked pretty good in the preseason, but it's basically him and Kamara. So I don't really know what kind of weapons they're going to be able to put out there to beat the Packers, who have a pretty strong defense. And then on the other side of the ball, obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers is ready to really make a run this year. Um, you know, I think this one. I think the Packers win this one handily. What do you think, Paul?
I'm gonna take the Packers in this one, but I would also like to parlay that with Jameis throwing for over 350 yards. um, he's got a cannon. I hate him so much. I don't know that there's anybody aside from possibly Ben Roethlisberger that I hate in the NFL more than Jameis Winston for so many reasons. um,
There's a lot of different reasons why you could dislike him. That's for sure.
So crab legs, anyone? Anyway.
Uber drivers, anyone?
Good.
Alleged Ben Roethlisberger alleged activity anywhere. Anyway, um, the Packers I think are going to do this. The Saints actually chose Jacksonville because they did research, and Jacksonville was the most expensive place for Packers fans to fly. So they set it up to play in Jacksonville because they thought that the least amount of Packers fans would show up in Jacksonville. So the Saints, this counts as a home game for them. So they're not going to have home field advantage being out of the Superdome, which is flooded again because they live in Atlantis. Um, I think that Aaron Rodgers is super pissed off and is going to play that way. So I think that he's going to do Aaron Rodgers things that we saw out of his MVP seasons. Um, I think he has an outside chance to repeat just because of how angry he is with being in the Green Bay uniform again. Um, but I do think that unless Jair Alexander shadows Marquez Callaway, I think that Marquez Callaway is going to have an amazing game. because there's a lot of passes that should not have been caught because Jameis threw them and they were caught in the preseason. So I think that he's going to have to be watched. I think if Kevin King gets on Marquez Callaway at all, that's a touchdown. So I might have to start Marquez Callaway just on the off chance that happens. But I think the Packers win. I think they win big. And I think that Jameis has a big game.
Hey, Paul,
What's up?
is the over under for Randall Cobb like 5 yards?
5 yards or five plays?
Which one do you think will come first? Him catching a ball for 5 yards or him being in 5 plays?
Ambulance? I don't know.
I'll pick the Packers in this one as well. I just wanted to mess around with Paul a little bit. I thought that was funny. I think I agree that Aaron is definitely not super thrilled with the situation that he's in still. Do I think that may change as far as like has the Jets cooled off? I don't think so. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him with this year. But the Saints, I mean, hey man, you guys in big games sometimes can struggle with that defense. I wouldn't be shocked to see, like you said, Jameis throw for like 300 something yards. But I'll side with the Pack in this one.
All right, next one we've got the Dolphins heading to New England. New England's a 3-point favorite.
Man, the battle of Alabama quarterbacks, man. Mac going against.
I would bet that line. That I would take the Pats -3 in that. Like that is a game I might bet.
I was gonna say I really like that one too. I like the Packers, or I mean, I like the Patriots to cover, to win outright, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see New England with all those new pieces in there. But I mean, from everything I saw from Mac Jones so far in the preseason, he's just accurate as hell, man. He just puts it right on everybody in stride. So I think that the Patriots spent a lot of money in the offseason to upgrade that roster, especially, get some offensive talent. So, and they also put money out defensively too. So their defense last year, I think they had,
I think it was four people out.
How many opt-outs? So they're getting a bunch of healthy guys back that are ready to play, because now they know that they're gonna have a chance to make a run. I don't really know what to think about the Dolphins. I'm not big on Tua. They have some interesting players on offense and defense, but I just don't know. They don't really. There's no one there that really kind of wows you that you think is. They got Jalen Waddle. I mean, he could be a player, but the rest of their receivers always seem to get injured. Gaskin's pretty good, but they have like a crowded backfield of guys that I don't think are like super talented. And I think their defense is pretty solid, but I got to go with the Pats all the way on this one. And I think they're gonna roll.
I think that this is probably going to be the most painful thing that I have ever said in my life. But I think there's a chance that Nate was right and that Mac Jones will be the best quarterback out of this draft class. And that hurts because not because Mac is going to be good, but because Nate was right. That hurts me because I've known Nate most of my life and he's never right about anything. So that is painful. But do you think there's any chance that Bill Belichick told those guys that opted out that he just said, "Hey guys, opt out of this season so I can get a high draft pick and get us a quarterback"? Do you think there's any chance that happened?
I wouldn't put anything past that evil genius, dude. And it's the perfect quarterback for the system that he wants to run. It's accurate guy. He's going to spread the ball around to everybody, and then you got Harris as your running back is just a hammer. He's just going to keep getting 4 or 5 yards, just going up the middle. And then they still have James White out there hitting on the little stuff out of the backfield. So yeah, I think the Patriots are gonna be pretty good this year.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna contend for the division. I think the Bills are gonna win it for sure, but I think the Patriots are gonna gonna be in the contention for the playoffs for sure.
I think there's a chance that Jalen Waddle gets blanked in his first week because if Stephon Gilmore shadows Jalen Waddle, since Jalen Waddle is their best offensive weapon, he's not getting it. Like maybe he'll get lucky and something, but Stephon Gilmore, he's in the last year of his contract, so he's playing for something. He
Yeah.
sat out last season, opted out, so I think there's a chance that he plays up, shows out, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots end up stumbling that he gets traded before the trade deadline so that they can try to get something in return because I don't think they're going to retain him into next year, at least not with letting him play out his contract like this. But I don't think this game is going to be close. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think that Tua is going to get a lesson in how to not play Bill Belichick coach teams. Um, and I think the Patriots surprisingly have a ton of weapons. They've got two good tight ends again. They've got a couple of receivers on the outside, and with Mac Jones allegedly having taught Cam Newton the playbook when Cam's been in the system for a year longer, then I just think that they've got a chance to do some special things. So we'll see, but I'm absolutely taking the Patriots. What about you, Brando?
Was it Rob Nikovic, however you say his name, that said that was true?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Pats in this one. I think they're definitely going to have a bounce back year for the Pats. That feels weird to say. And I feel like Miami is going to struggle a bit this year, but I would not be surprised to see Jalen get at least one touchdown. I think it would be under 100 yards more than likely, but unless that one touchdown is like 99.9 yards and he just happens to break one down the field. But I think the vast majority of his yardage will come from probably one really big play, and I think he'll likely get one touchdown. But I still think the Pats will win the game.
You better hope so. You drafted him.
Dude, I told you that was my sleeper pick. I'm like, we're in the 7th or 8th round. I don't think people are thinking about him right now. I'm going after Waddle.
He might be asleep in this one. So you
It might
I
be.
think he's going to do good things for you. I just think he's going to struggle against the Pats because he's their
I'm
only weapon.
I'm showing my hand early, but I'm sitting him week. I'm sitting Waddle this week, and I'm starting Antonio Brown.
Ooh.
Belichick's the master of taking away the game breaking pieces off of the other team's offense. So yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, if Waddle shows out, I'll have to be sad because he'll be on my bench. But AB is going to start for me this week, I think.
All right, so we got next one, Denver at the Giants. Denver is a 3-point road favorite in this one.
Oh, do you mind if I step in?
Go ahead.
So the only person I know that's a Giants fan I got to talk to today, and he got to wolf a bunch of shit at me about the Eagles. So I'll just tell you guys what I told him. And I know that they're gonna ease
Get 'em.
Saquon into the season, but if Saquon doesn't ball out this year, they're gonna have a bad year. I suspect Galladay will be injured probably by week 8, and then we're gonna be right back in the same position for them. And if nothing else, you have Daniel Jones to rely upon, so that's gonna be a problem for you regardless. So.
Does Flex still talk to you? Tell him to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he does. He does not like Paul, by the way.
Good, it's mutual.
No, all good, dude. So I think for me, I'm definitely going to pick against the Giants in this one. I do not see them doing very well. They are in the NFC East, so they might have a chance this year, but I think they're going to have that middling ground where they're going to be battling for the bottom of the NFC East like they always do.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am on the Giants. I love Saquon Barkley, man. I love the way the guy plays, and I know he's had a lot of injuries and stuff, but um, it's not him. It's the rest of their team. I don't think that they've done enough for their offensive line to be a solid offensive line. And Daniel Jones, I don't think he's the guy. I think they're going to be resetting at quarterback probably after this season. Um, their defense is solid, so I mean, I think their defense is going to keep them in some games. And they did upgrade their wide receiver talent. I think Galladay is a talented guy, but he definitely he definitely is injury prone. I mean, he's good for at least 4 to 6 games every season. It seems. I used to love. I had that guy in fantasy so many times, and I'm just like, oh my god, if this guy would just stay on the field, he'd win me some games. But I feel like it's a lot of the same from what we've heard so far with him. Um, and on the flip side, I mean, you know, uh, Bridgewater won the job in Denver. They have a pretty loaded room of wide receivers. Jerry Judy and Sutton, even KJ Hamler out of Penn State has showed some big playability. They got solid running backs, and their offensive line is improved. And then their defense is going to be tough this year. I mean, you get Von Miller back. Um, uh, Chubb, they added Patrick Surtain in the draft. Um, I can't think of the safety's name. Is it Justin Simmons? Their defense is going to be tough. So I like the Broncos in this one. I mean, I like them. I like them to cover too. Um, but I'm going with Denver in this one.
I like the Broncos in this one. I do think that the Giants are going to put up some numbers. So personally, like if I was betting this, I would take the Broncos and I would parlay it with the over because the over I'm looking at right here is 41 and a half. And I think the Giants are going to score some points if Saquon play. Is Saquon slated to play? I haven't seen anything about it.
They said he's on track to play, but
If
they said he was limited in practice today.
uh,
But
if he plays, I would take the over because I think that he provides another dimension. And maybe they'll do like a halfback toss where they throw it to him and then let him throw the ball, and then you've got some good receivers to catch it and someone who knows how to throw. So I would take the over in this, but I think the Broncos are going to win this.
I'll just say the only thing I disagree is I think this could be under 42. I think both defenses could be could be good enough to cause some problems that there are very little points scored.
You want to throw a 5 on it?
Sure.
All right, cool. So I'm taking the over 41 and a half. You're taking the under?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll take that.
Okay, write it down. Make sure that we
5 spot.
Cool.
Got it. 5 spot on the over under 41 and a half. All right. All right, we're good. All right. So we're all in agreement on that one. We all have Denver, right?
Yep.
All right. Last one I have this is the last of the 4 o'clock games. This is a good one. Cleveland at Kansas City. I mean, there's a lot of hype on the Browns. I'm thinking back to the playoffs.
Oh boy.
don't do it, Terry.
The Chiefs were putting up so many points. I'm gonna stick with my by the way, Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites at home. Yeah, I gotta do it. I'm going with the Chiefs, and I'd like them to cover the 5.5 too.
I'm taking the Chiefs. Browns are going to regress this year, especially if OBJ is on the field.
You didn't like all those treadmill videos with OBJ running real fast?
Why do I care about that? OBJ hasn't been good in what, 7 years? If OBJ hadn't made that one miraculous catch, are we talking about him at all?
Probably
like as a
not.
rookie, where he
Probably
made that
not.
crazy one-handed catch? I don't think we're talking about him.
I would
he's
almost
a guy.
I would almost venture that one that Jalen Rager had in preseason was almost as good, but it wasn't in game, so it doesn't count. But
Yeah.
that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, I don't think that I think that I've heard that the Bears are trying to trade for him, and I hope beyond all hope.
How
that
amazing would that be?
Can you imagine Justin Fields as a rookie with OBJ trying to like be in control of that locker room. Can you imagine all the head cases in Chicago? Like I think Khalil Mack, because the rumor was that Oakland contacted the Bears to try and get Khalil back. I think Khalil would be like, all right, send me back to the Raiders. I can't deal with this shit. Get me back to or not Oakland, Nevada, or Las Vegas rather. But yeah, I could see him be like, John, come get me, please. I need you. So no, the Chiefs are going to win this. It's not going to be close, and the Chiefs might cover the over under on this one too by themselves.
If I was in the Chicago area, if OBJ got traded, I would have to find the guy that does boat tours and see if he can like go get himself a good deal with the OBJ crew, because that dude does love himself some boat tours.
That's amazing.
But man, that I my brain just broke on that. How amazing that would be. I feel like that would probably tank their whole locker room though. So we'd have to see how that would go.
I hope that happens.
So then everyone's on KC.
Absolutely.
Just because OBJ is on the field.
Yeah.
There's a chance OBJ goes down with an injury on the first drive, and then the Browns are like, all right, we can play again.
You don't think after the Chiefs went through everything they just went through that they're not going to come back pissed off? That they're not going to come back saying like this wasn't a fluke, like we're going to do this all over again, but we're going to win this time?
Well, I think the Browns defense is still going to be pretty good, but I think the one thing that for me
Baker
is
can't
the, is
keep
the
up
bi-
with.
no, the bigger thing for me is the Chiefs. The Chiefs fixed a lot of their offensive line problems. Like they reloaded that offensive line, so now they're gonna have more time for Mahomes, and he's just gonna feel like he's gonna shred them. So I mean, we know the Chiefs are loaded with talent and speed. So plus it was what, not really a close game in the playoffs until Mahomes got concussed, and then the
Hmm.
Browns kind of made their comeback. Um, but yeah, the Chiefs are the Chiefs are going to be right back there this year.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Sunday night game,
Rams win. Do we have to go further than that?
Chicago Bears at the Rams. Rams 7.5 point favorites.
Is anybody
Um,
taking Chicago in this?
No.
no, Rams. I have Rams, and I have them feel like they're going to cover the 7.5 too.
Well, Matt Nagy made a promise to Andy Dalton, so he's going to start. So as long as Andy Dalton's in there, they're not doing shit.
They have
Doesn't make
no
any
offensive
sense.
weapons.
Sorry, it
No,
doesn't make
you're
any
good.
sense. Doesn't make any sense to start Andy Dalton. I mean, the just put Fields out there, let him run around and try and make some plays. I mean,
Which he wouldn't against this defense, because this defense is
this defense is going to be a problem. They're going to be a real problem. They're dark horse Super Bowl team if they can stay healthy.
agreed.
No doubt, no doubt. Even in that tough West Division, if they can stay healthy, their defense. I mean, you have the best defensive lineman in the league. You have the best corner, and there's a lot of good players in between there. Plus, you've just significantly upgraded your quarterback with a guy who's hungry to win after spending his entire career in Detroit, and they're loaded at receiver. Um, I know they had the Cam Akers injury, but they still have pretty solid running game. So they're gonna be really good. They're gonna be a problem.
Right there with you. The Bears are, even if they had someone more competent at quarterback, they don't have the weapons to compete with that defense. Aaron Donald is I feel like what's that movie where Vince Vaughn's like, I don't want to point any fingers, but you're a problem. You're a real problem. Like Andy Dalton is not going to do anything. Justin Fields, when he ends up coming in and taking the job, because we all know it's going to happen, he's going to have growing pains as every rookie does. So you've got Matt Stafford who's pissed off, and it's going to be. I'm very interested to see what Matt Stafford does with a competent head coach, an offense that knows what they're doing, and weapons. Cooper Cup, Robert Woods. I mean, come on, it's just gonna be that game's not gonna be close. The
I'll
Rams
be
will cover.
I'll be really interested to see what Justin Fields does with his new head coach next year. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Yeah,
and
it's gonna suck a little
and the
bit.
new GM. Hopefully, they
Yeah,
can
new
actually
GM, new head
draft some
coach.
good players.
Don't wish that on me. Do I sit here and wish? Oh, hey, I can't wait for Jerry Jones to die so the Cowboys get a real GM and can get better players. That was a dick comment, Jerry.
That's all right, because Jeffrey Laurie is already doing his best Jerry Jones impersonation as it is anyway. So
All right, so Rams across the board. Obviously, last is Monday night. Ravens at Raiders. Right now, we have the Ravens as a 4-point road favorite.
This is interesting. There's only one Monday night game this year. Usually there's
Yeah,
two.
they usually have the double feature on Monday. I don't know. I'm not sure why, but
The only thing
um,
I can think of is like it's written into their contract how many games they get, and then with them adding another week, like they'll still have the same number of games. That's the only thing I can think of. But
I
whatever.
don't know. I liked it. I liked it. I think last year it was Chris Fowler and Herb Street called the late game, and those guys are good.
Oh, come on.
So
Remember when we used to have Booger? Like, come on, he was good.
dude,
Him
he's
and
doing like
Jason Witten.
college game day cut-ins now. He's not even doing NFL stuff anymore.
He's
at least he's not on the cart in front of the fans like on.
oh my
God,
god, that was
worse.
so
That was so
stupid.
dumb, man. Why would they
Oh,
do that?
It's because Witten didn't want him in the booth. Witten said he specifically didn't want to share the booth with Booger. He wanted to be just with him and the other guy, and that's why they put Booger down in the cart.
God, that was like the least talented broadcasting team that got primetime games ever. Like,
No,
I
Joe Buck is the least
no,
talented, but
nope,
those guys are right up there.
no,
I
no.
can't see it. You can't.
Booger
agree with
is
that,
less
dude.
talented than Joe Buck, and you know
Jason
how much I
Witten
hate
might
Joe
be
Buck.
less talented, but I don't know. That was a pretty rough crew. And that other guy they have in there, I can't remember his name, but he's like
I think
that.
it was like Sean McDonough or something. He does college games now.
Yeah,
Again.
yeah, it's that pseudo. I sound like every college football guy.
Yeah. Man, how did they let Mike Tirico go to NPC? Like, what were they thinking? Mike Tirico was a gift, and they just ESPN, ABC,
They-
Disney. How do you let all of that talent leave ESPN?
Anyway, as far as the football game goes,
That's the least important thing in this conversation.
I'm
I
choosing
feel-
Ravens. I don't know about you guys, but go ahead.
I thought about because like the Raiders always seem to play great in their first game of the season when they're playing on Monday night. But no, I'm going Ravens. I like them. I like them to win. I don't know about the 4 though. I'll take them. I'll take them on the money line, but not 4 points. I think it could be close.
Do you guys think Le'Veon will actually be able to do anything now that he's on the Ravens, or do you think that his getting to the Chiefs and then blaming Andy Reid for all of his problems is going to be basically the end of that line?
He's on the practice squad for the Ravens. They're not even, to my knowledge, they're not even dressing him for the first game, so he means nothing there. Le'Veon is apparently just as big a head case as Antonio Brown. And can you? I would have loved to have been in that Steelers locker room. Can you imagine Ben Roethlisberger as the sane one of the stars in that group? Like, come on.
I think Mike Tomlin does not get enough credit for keeping that together as long as he did.
Right?
Like,
Like, I want a 30
seriously.
for 30 on Mike Tomlin and how he dealt with that. That is just crazy. And anyway, this game, the Raiders usually show out week 1. They usually show out against really good teams, but I don't think that even with the injuries that the Ravens have, I don't think that they have enough speed on defense to do much. And the Ravens usually play really well on defense with not a lot. So I think Derek Carr would have to throw for at least 3, if not 4 touchdowns for them to be able to win this. And I just don't think they can put that up and stop Lamar Jackson enough. So I'm going to stick with the Ravens on this one too.
Yeah, I like definitely all those things for sure. Well, gentlemen, Terry, you got your pick in, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm
All right.
Baltimore.
We're already at damn near an hour and a half. So that was just on picks. So I think that we did pretty good there. Did we maybe want to do like a quick little hit on college this last weekend and then we'll wrap her up?
Alabama is the best team in the country and is going to win the national championship again. That's all I need
They
to know.
looked amazing.
Dude,
Like
they
They're
looked
Bryce Young
fantastic.
looked so good.
dude, they just
Wow.
there's a goal. They lost so many starters to the NFL, but the guys that are behind them, they're just as good.
They've lost four wide
Ridiculous.
receivers to the first round in the last 2 years, and all signs point to I can't. Mechie's going to end up being the fifth wide receiver that ends up going in the first round this year. You got Bryce Young, who's going to just ball out this year and next. Like I don't see anybody beating them. Clemson looked atrocious against
They
Georgia.
looked
Georgia
terrible.
Georgia couldn't score on Clemson, so I don't know that Georgia will be able to score in Alabama. Ohio State looked terrible. I think all the other major players. You had Oklahoma almost losing at home to Tulane.
That was
Tulane
crazy.
Yeah,
Tulane
that
came
was
back, man.
and
yeah. And
and and they were
Spencer
down at
Rattler
first
didn't
too.
look too good either.
No,
Spencer
Spencer
Rattler was
Rattler
not
looked
looking good.
terrible. So you've got all the teams that everyone said was going to be just amazing this year, and none of them looked all that good. So I don't think that anybody can keep up with it. And I mean, we're at the point now where Alabama reminds me of the UConn girls team in college basketball, where it's just like, okay, well, do you want to take the field or do you want to take the team that's going to win? And I'm going to take the team that's going to win. So I I can't believe what happened. Miami looked like they did not belong. The ACC as a whole just looked terrible. You had I forget who played. Someone played it was Georgia Tech. They played Northern Illinois and lost. Northern Illinois didn't win a game last year. Duke lost to an FCS team. You had UNC just look a fool to Virginia Tech,
Hmm.
and then Clemson couldn't do anything against Georgia. So the ACC is down. The Big Ten looks bad. Pac-12 looks worse, and the Big 12 isn't really a conference anymore. So I think at this point we're going to end up with two teams from the SEC in the Final Four, and then it's going to be the default winner of the Big Ten and an at-large team. I think that with Cincinnati showing up and they're currently ranked seventh, I think there's an outside chance that we get our first non-power five team in the playoff this year.
Yeah, they return a ton of starters, and their quarterback looked like he got a lot better since from last year. But yeah. Also, you brought him up in the text, Paul. That dude, the tight end from Notre Dame, looks legit. That guy looks like baby
Oh
Gronk,
my
dude.
god, can you say first round pick?
Dude, he definitely will be. That guy's a house, man. Like he was wide open so much. Like no, like what is the defense doing?
No, that was crazy. I did think it was cool. FSU's backup quarterback ended up coming in the game because their starting quarterback broke his helmet, and he was only supposed to be for a play. But then that drive, he ended up going 4 for 4, throws a touchdown. That is the quarterback that led UCF to their undefeated season,
Yeah,
and then got injured before their bowl game. And he came back. I think it was like 1,000 some days since the last time he touched the field. They weren't sure he was going to be able to walk after that, and he's out there playing the game. Good for that kid. Like, just way to stick with it and bet on yourself and just do all the hard work. That was awesome to see.
yeah. Mackenzie Milton, dude, definitely rooting for that guy. He was a baller at UCF, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe he takes over that job at Florida State and gets a chance. We'll see.
There was that wide receiver they were talking about. Was it on Clemson that they said that hurt his back, and or they found that he had like a congenital issue and he had to have surgery, and they didn't think he'd ever play again. It was
Yeah,
one of the wide receivers.
they found it just by doing a routine look at just his body, and then he had surgery, and it was 50-50 as if he was ever going to play. So that was cool too. I love when kids get to come back from injuries like that, because I mean, you've got a. I think we all know this. A lot of kids who end up getting scholarships from football, that's their way out. A lot of them aren't going to sit there and make big money or be able to support their family, but you've got people coming from nothing in sports. And to me, that's what's nice about it is with sports like basketball, where all you need is a hoop. It's great to see the kids go out there and be able to just change the stars for their family. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm definitely be looking forward to this weekend. I have off tomorrow. Tomorrow night is Thursday night football. And then Friday I got a really long day at work. And then Saturday I'm going to be off watching football all damn day. Sunday I got football all damn day. And then I'm back to work on Monday. So I think it's going to be a pretty fantastic weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are as well. Make sure you guys, if you're out there, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll definitely be back again for another episode here next week. I think we're going to keep this Wednesday later time slot for the live streams. And just hopefully in the next, if we keep this up for a couple weeks, then hopefully we'll be able to find an audience for it. If not, we might move the days, but we'll see how everything goes from here. So make sure you guys have a wonderful rest of your night and take it easy.